Are you waking up dreading your day with your kids? If every day is a struggle and you're doing the same thing again and again, living in frustration and stress with your kids, we're here to tell you it's not normal.
Uh-uh.
In fact, it's called insanity.
You mean doing the same thing again and again and again and expecting a different outcome?
Yes. Today we're going to struggle with our kids, have power struggles, yell at them, drag them into timeouts, give them lectures, and we're going to do the same thing again and again tomorrow. We're calling this the definition of insanity. It's time for a change. If you're just joining us, don't know who we are, I'm Bonnie Leota.
I'm Thomas Leota.
And when I met Thomas Leota, it was 2011. I had 4 kids being diagnosed with different behavior and mood disorders, including oppositional defiant disorder, ADHD, anxiety, and depression. Now, I want to pre-frame with you that back in 1994, so 18 years before I met Thomas, I read a book called Think and Grow Rich, and it instilled a dream in my heart to find a way to empower all the kids before the age of 12. Don't ask me where the number 12 came from. I just know that if I knew what was in that book as a child, that I never would have done all the stupid, rebellious things that I did as a teenager. I spent the next 18 years in personal development, got into business, became an entrepreneur, became a leader. When I met Thomas, I had over 10,000 people in my downline. I was speaking all over North America as an inspirational speaker. I was a coach to leaders, and I was going home and crying in my bathroom because my kids had taken over my life. It was my secret nightmare that nobody ever knew about. It was just something I kept to myself. And then I met this young man. Then I met this very special character. So why don't you share a little bit about your journey, Thomas? And good morning to those of you who have joined us live. Welcome.
Yes, and the little pop-up sticks are going to show up here magically.
Oh,
too.
our pop-up sticks. That's right. Okay, you go ahead and share.
Well, as you know, I'm Thomas Leota, and I've had the privilege and honor of working with literally hundreds of thousands of kids. It started off with Little League Baseball back when I was in high school. After that, I got into gameplay counseling at Nintendo, where 10 years I worked with every single kid, even the big kids, mom and dad had called, to counsel them through video games. This doesn't work, can't make it. And we went from can to can, had over 144,000 paid clients there. After that, I got halfway through my Nintendo years, got involved in martial arts. That's a separate story in itself. But when in 1994 was a very pivotal moment when I dodged a bamboo stick in class for 5 years to go from white belt to black belt and develop all the things that go hand in hand, like self-control, responsibility, self-discipline, and focus, and the list goes on and on. I decided right then that kids can't go through that same training. So I decided right then to do the opposite of anything negative to guide my students moving forward, the white belts, the new kids. And I embarked on something that at the time I had no idea where it was going to bring me. Well, led me to Bonnie and her dream. But I went on that escapade. And after thousands of kids who came to an after school, before and all day summer camp martial art program, it started where parents would always come to me and would be complaining or blaming, or the kids were acting out. And they asked me, can you fix my kid? That seemed to be the theme. And I'm like, okay, well, why are we fixing these kids? In a very short window of time, I could take the kids on field trips to Museum of Flight, the Mariners game, movie theaters, fire station, and things like that. But what I noticed is that most of the kids that came to me, because I was working in a school district, was they ran out of all the daycares. Their kids were acting out so much they're getting kicked out of school. A lot of the parents were like, hey, I just got into the foster program. I got this kid, and oh boy, I need some help. So with that being said, I took on that journey, and every single child that we've been able to do and work with would allow us to have field trips to go to the movie theaters, Museum of Flight, and even the Mariners games for like ninja nights over sleepovers and things of this nature. And I always wondered, why was it always in a short window of time that each one of these so-called kids that needed to be fixed in a very short window of time took on the characteristics of what was missing: self-control, responsibility, self-discipline, and focus. We can talk a little more about that in a minute, but it was always amazing to me, Bonnie, that every single child, no exception, still to this day, and we're talking over 150,000 clients, they all came out to the other side. And I had no idea how magical this was until I met Bonnie, which was in 2011.
Yes. So we're talking about escaping the parenting insanity today. If you're here, post a comment. Where are you from? How many kids do you have? If you're open, what is your biggest parenting struggle? This is live Q&A, and it's the best live parenting Q&A on the planet. Do you have a friend who could use some help? Share the video out. Invite people here. We're going to dig into it. Before we do, I have a quick story. I have a quick story to share. So I have a family member. I'm not going to name names, and you're going to think this is crazy, but I have a family member who likes to leave the lawnmower out all winter long. Now, if you're in California, that might not be a big deal. You don't even know if you have winters there, but here in Edmonton, Alberta, it gets to be, say, minus 30. I was saying last night, it's going to be cold this year. We're going to probably have a whole month at minus 40. So I want you just to imagine 2 feet of snow, minus 40 for real, and out sits this lawnmower. Well, a couple of years ago, it was, can you help mow the lawn? We went over to help mow the lawn, and the string had like been chewed off by the dog. So Tom had to start the lawnmower. So she goes out and buys a new lawnmower. Then last spring, it was, can you help mow the lawn? Do you have a lawnmower? Well, I bought a new one last year, but I left it out all winter and now it's broken. So we're talking about the definition of insanity, doing the same thing again and again, expecting different results. If you want your lawnmower to work next year, what's the best thing you think we should do if we're going to be acting with some sort of responsibility? And I'd be open here. Iowa. Hi, Rachel Kelly. Hi, Iowa. I thought you were Rachel Hamilton. Hi, Rachel Hamilton. Welcome. Thank you so much for being here. It's Q&A. It's time to post your questions in the comments as we move forward. But the point of the lawnmower story is this. If you have something that works and then you leave it out all winter and then it doesn't work, and then we do it again and we leave it out all winter and it doesn't work, at some point in time, doesn't it make sense that we should make a change, that we should shift some things? And what the whole world is doing right now is we're blaming our children. Your child has something wrong with them. They have a behavior disorder. They have a mood disorder. There's something wrong with them. So then instead of actually taking the lawnmower and putting it away and having a lawnmower that works, now what we're doing is we're having to come from the outside in and we're having to fix that lawnmower. Just like we're doing with the kids all over the globe. We're having to fix the kids. And so we want to smash this myth right now. Your child works perfectly well, exactly like the lawnmower bought brand new from Canadian Tire. It works perfectly well until we do something. We are the leaders. They are the followers. We create the environment that they grow up in. They are forced to live in the environment that we create as parents.
True.
All right. So trying to use timeouts, takeaways, threatening the children, all these things that we're doing, even if you're getting on their eye level and you're being all gentle and kind and you're explaining to your child why they lost the privilege because they didn't do this. What if our parenting batteries were in backwards? What if, as parents, we've left our children out in the minus 40-degree snow all winter long, and then we're expecting them to step up and act like champions? Does that seem insane to you? It's time to take a defibrillator into the operating room and go,
Clear.
All right, because Einstein said, we didn't make this up. Einstein said that the definition of insanity is doing the same thing again and again expecting different results. Does this make sense to you?
Yes, the mindset that creates the problem is the same mindset that can't fix it.
Angela says, wow, put it away for the winter. You would think. Angela, don't put it in the comments, but can you guess who the family member is? Sandra asked, 10-year-old ADHD, ODD, and behaviors maybe beyond. Sandra, I have spoken with you. I am so happy that you're here. I want to validate. We know that there's only so much time in a day. We know that how much it takes for you just to come here to watch this live. But here's the thing. If you're dealing with daily meltdowns, disrespectful teens, and you're thinking something's wrong with your kids, and you're destined to a life of hell with your kids, I'm going to say, stop it. It's completely unnecessary. When we know that you feel like you've tried everything and nothing's working to get your kids to listen. But if you have a desire for change, we want you to know it is possible.
You know, I used to hear that all the time, Bonnie, at Nintendo days.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. People would say, you guys make these games so damn hard, you make us have to call you. I'm going to throw this fill in the blank out the damn window because you guys, the game's broken. There's got to be something wrong with the game. Can't be the user. But we could finish the game, but they couldn't. And see, in that perspective, the truth is you either been taught not to see the truth or you actually believe the false to be true. And see, when we go from can't to can, there's a thing that we call reframing. And that's what we're going to get to here very soon. But the point is that if one person can do it and the other person can't, maybe there's just something missing in the parenting bucket.
Yes.
And that's why you're here. So, Sandra, congratulations on being a perseverance. If I understand this correct, you've been doing something that's called grit for 10 years. I'm not saying we're rolling backwards in the boat, like upstream, but when you learn that you could flow with the river, your whole world's going to change.
Right. All you need is the right knowledge. Every child. So I'm going to say this, Mom, watching this, because Rachel Kelly, thank you so much for commenting. I know it's not easy. You said extremely defiant, so much anger cannot be explained. We're going to explain to you that today. So stick around. Don't go anywhere. He just turned 14, but started behaviors at the young age of 1. He was diagnosed with ADHD and ODD. So I got to say this. What you're going to learn here is not another form of authoritative parenting wrapped up in a different bubble called creating champions for life. This is not authoritative parenting. We should actually relabel authoritative parenting to authoritative control. And I want you to right now, while we're on the live, Google control. What does it mean to control another person? And once you find that on Google, share it in the comments, and I'm just going to read it out loud. All right. Rachel Hamilton, same story as Rachel Kelly. And Rachel Hamilton, you're on the right track. And remember, we are taking Clayton and we're rewinding the clock. He's missing some life skills. He's missing how to get what he wants in a more positive way. He's missing the law of sowing and reaping. We have lied to our children. You don't have to do anything. You're just a kid. Live in la fantasy land. And the kid is sitting back here going, can I do what you do? Can I show off my greatness?
Can I be like you one day?
Is there a purpose for my life? What am I doing here? Am I here just to please my parents? Do I have to be somebody that I'm not in order to be somebody in this world? Because obviously everything that I do, I get in trouble for. I reach out of the box and I get slapped back in. This is not your fault. This is the fault. It's not anybody's fault. Everybody's done the best that they can with parenting. And we've gone from, like, say, beating our kids to now this whole positive discipline, which in the end isn't positive at all and is the cause of the breakdown of child mental health. All right. So, what we're talking about here is not authoritative parenting. What we're talking about here is leadership parenting. We're going to get rid of the micromanaging, get rid of managing child behavior altogether, and let's step into our role as parents. Let's become their leaders. And here, mom, dad, if you want change, you must take a step. Because we wake up every morning going, how can we help the families? Kids are dying all over the world. The number one cause of death for our youth is fentanyl overdose. And right behind that is suicide. Now, nobody thinks when they have a 5-year-old or a 10-year-old or even a 14-year-old that these things are going to happen. But if we don't nip this in the bud right now, what we're talking about today, these things are going to continue to happen. If you want change, you must take a step. Have you read the Learn to Speak Kid book yet? Man, if every single parent on the planet would just get themselves a copy of this book and actually read it, we could change the whole world together. We could empower kids all over the world. Not empower kids, empower you, mom. Everything you need to know to create change is in this book. We have mentorship and coaching programs because we're human beings and we already have our brains wired in a certain way called authoritative control. We are to manage our kids' behavior, and we're gonna stop that today. Step into your leadership role. The first step to change is what Tom talked about just a couple of minutes ago. We need to reframe how we see our children in the first place. Do you think that you have the capability to leave this call today and look in the mirror and go, my child is a perfect, miraculous gift from God? And every meltdown, every eye roll, every yell, every bit of anger, every bit of throwing things, every bit of punching you, hitting you, spitting at you, everything that you can think of is an effect to a cause. We're talking universal principles. We have cause and effect. And we have the law of sowing and reaping. And if we don't have these two universal truths happening in our home environment right now, we're losing. So we need to reframe. I see something I don't like. I see an angry child. I see a child with oppositional defiant disorder. I see a child who cannot focus. I see a child who cannot sit. I see a child who's very angry. Let's reframe that to I see a little genius spirit, human spirit, created in the image of our Creator, doing all they know how to do to get what they want, doing all they know how to do to get you to see them, but not what you don't like. See their greatness, breathe life into them, be a leader, create a proactive environment. Show them the good, the bad, the ugly. When you take this action, you're making this happen. When you take this action and you do all your homework and you do all your chores and you do it without even being asked, you make this happen in your life. I am not in control. Does this make sense?
Absolutely.
Because the second step is to validate. We're waiting for questions in the comments. But Rachel, you asked a question in our 90-day parenting challenge group. How can I validate better? Because your 14-year-old's getting annoyed when you say, I would love for you to have that. Because he's catching on. I would love for you to have that, but I'm not doing it for you. And so there's going to be a little, you have neural pathways to create. Your children have neural pathways to create. So let's give them 4 or 5 different ways to validate when they come to you at 11. I want to get my belly button pierced, or they're 3. I want ice cream before dinner, or they're 15. I want to go to a party all night long.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I really love all the questions that are coming in. And just to give a pre-frame, that reframe that she's talking about, right? The reframe, to go from something you don't like. You either see something or hear something you don't like. And that's your starting point. But in order to reframe, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 principles that all you have to do is just grab one of them, and it gives you the power to go, oh, there it is. Oh, wait, there it disappeared, but I saw it. And one of them is knowing your role as a parent. You see, so many parents have been taught that how much you buy your kids stuff equals love. And see, when you know your role as a parent, that's principle one. It allows you to reframe. What you're going to be validating is, I would love for you to have that.
But not I would love for you, because
Well, what I mean by this is that everybody's given 3 rights: food, clothing, shelter. Everything else is a goal that we're working towards them having us do it for them. We do together, and then they do it all by themselves, because the prime directive is to prepare them to launch out of the nest.
everybody put that in the comments. My prime directive as a mom or dad is to prepare my child to launch out of the nest, to live their own lives. You know, when you hear it, it's one thing. When you hear it and you write it down, it's another thing. We're growing new neural pathways. The prime directive, is it to get them to conform and comply in the moment? Or is it to prepare them to leave the nest? My prime directive as a mom or dad is to prepare my child to be ready for the world, to leave the nest and live a life successful without me. That's our role as parents. If that makes sense, type it in. If it makes sense, give us a high five, give us a like, a heart, share the video or something. I want to say this, and we're going back to validating. But Sandra said, thank you. It's hard to apply what is taught in the moment when he is full-blown high energy. Right. So in the moment when he's full high energy misbehavior with physical and verbal abuse, what is your plan for when that happens, Sandra? If you know that that's going to happen, if you know that your child is going to hit, kick, scream, yell, become angry, what is the master plan? If you don't know what to do in the moment and he has no idea what this action is causing, he's sowing an action. What does he reap? It's the law of sowing. You taking this action causes this effect to happen, or will cause you to reap this reward: negative, neutral, positive. Write that down and come back later. So 5 examples of what it means to validate. Mom, I want to go to a party.
Validate is called echoing back. Go to a party? Wow. That's amazing. Could I ask you some questions about it? Give me another one.
I want ice cream.
Oh my gosh, me too. Do you know what to do?
Hopefully you're writing this down, Rachel. These are all forms of validation. They might just seem like nothing to you. These are gold, because you're talking to a little human being who has no idea how to make anything in their world show up without you. Because for 5, 10, 15 years, they've said, I want to get my belly button ring pierced. And you've said, no, over my dead body. I want ice cream. You said, no, dinner's in 10 minutes. No, I need to maintain my boundary. Isn't that what we're being taught? You need to set boundaries and maintain your boundaries, or your kids will walk all over you. It's off the mark.
Why is it that the exact same experts all have their hands in the big pop a pill revenue game? Can't teach you how to fix it, but we're going to help you live with it.
We don't know the cause of it, but let me give you this medication. And if that doesn't work, let's try this medication.
Let me see if this clicks. You take your car to a mechanic or a shop because you don't know why it won't start. And they go, yeah, I'm not really sure what causes it. But we do have this really cool tow truck service that we could put you on, that every time your car didn't start, we'll just drag you around all day long. You see, if you're taking advice from somebody who doesn't know the cause, well, then they're just shooting in the dark, hoping they hit the mark.
Until eventually, like what happens with most of our clients, the therapist says, I'm at a loss for how to help this child.
And
You're on your own.
And that's when all these kids came to me.
Exactly right. And that's where our
every
clients
single
come to us.
time. Every single time.
All right. So, Rachel, echo back. Tom just shared 2 or 3 other ways to validate your child. Did anybody hear what he said before we move on to the next question? Angela says, oh, what did you say here? You said something. Oh my gosh, I'm looking for the comment. You shared what it means to
Well, while you're looking for that, Sandra, when you're
control.
when you're in a fire in the house, there's no time for teaching. It's called survival mode. When you're in a sport and it's a live game, there's no coaching, there's no training. It's called, this is what we have. But when you get out of that moment, everybody knows that we do tryouts to make it on the team. And then you have practices where you practice role playing life skills to get some efficiency going. Then you have what is called a practice game or a scrimmage where we role play it out. And then once we have we can see and know, and we've done a few, then we get into a real game against another team. And see, what's always missed here is that every time that you're in this situation, it's a gift. You see, in the martial arts, when you chariot, attention, bow, Jim B, fight, you're in a game. And the game is, I have weaknesses, you have weaknesses. And my opponent is going to point those out. Our kids are pointing out what missing ingredients that we have as a leader. And when we can see that and say, thank you, then I know what to go back and practice to get better at. So when I come back into the next time, which is the next day, I'm actually in learning mode versus just survival mode. It's a very big difference. It's almost like the game red light, green light. Stop on the red, go on the green. And that's how powerful this can truly be.
Oh, I love that. Okay, so validating is like, cool, I want that too, or cool.
Well, let me tell you this story here. In the school, I had anywhere, people always say, well, I've got about 3 to 5 kids. That's average around, whatever it is. You got someone, you get it. Well, I had about 30 to 50 kids any given day in the before, after school, and all day summer camp. And there was a moment that Clara, there would be like, sir, my foot hurts. Sir, I'm hungry. Sir, 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 sir. And I'm like, I could put out the fire. And then there was just a part that clicked. And I'm like, huh, my foot hurts. I know, mine did too.
That's validating.
And
I
then
know.
the next kid came. Well, I'm hungry. I know. I like it when I know that my fuel tank is running low. My body's working perfect. I like being hungry too. And it was that moment, that day, that moment of clarity where like on our wedding, the clouds parted so we could have our wedding. And then after it was done, they closed. There was a sacred 2-hour window. This moment of clarity opened, and I'm like, oh, if anybody could just see this, how come the kids do stuff for you, but I can't get them to do anything at home? And it was that moment of clarity. I validated every single kid. And you know what I found at that moment? I love that God blessed me to have so many kids so you can see a pattern.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't want it fixed.
They didn't want it fixed.
Here we are. Ready? For the fast riders. They did not want it to be fixed. Or done for them.
That we could just wrap up today's live Q&A with that.
Because I gotta tell you the truth. I'm a pretty hardcore guy, which means I'm too stupid to quit. But when I was fixing every single one of these, will you tell me you got 3 to 5 kids, multiply it times 10x. Mm-hmm. And I would fix every single one of those because I didn't know at the time. And if I were to tell you that I physically dropped dead, heart still going, but I physically dropped from pure exhaustion of thinking that I could actually fill a bottomless pit. And I was bedridden for 3.5 weeks. There's no way you're going to solve that puzzle that the parents are on. And the only way out is this path. When you learn the art of that validation,
Oh my gosh. I have a huge aha moment happening in my head right now. Now I get that creating champions for life is proactive. We have success principles, which means that we create proactive plans, including the good, the bad, and the ugly, which we present to our children before heading into a situation. What I wrote down here was you can punish when they do something wrong. And Danielle, I've read your comment and I'm coming to you here. When we started today, we talked about the mindset that you have been literally conditioned to believe. And so we have our whole lifetime of conditioning. When a child does something you don't like or something inappropriate, we need to come in the moment and correct that behavior with some sort of discipline or punishment. Tell me if I'm on the right track. Is this something that you have been taught? Is this a deep-rooted belief? The child does something inappropriate. Now
Negative.
we need to punish them.
Negative.
Okay? Am I on the right track with today's parenting? Looking for comments.
And so you see something you don't like, you tell them can't, don't, won't, whether it's morals, ethics, or safety. I've heard everything underneath the sun, and I'm on your same page. But when does something negative plus negative ever equal positive on its best day?
No, so it doesn't. So it doesn't. So I'm having like my mind's just going right now because I'm like, why aren't there millions of families here watching this video right now? And it's because the minute that we say a child does something inappropriate, you don't punish them. And it goes against everything in the fiber of your being that you believe when it comes to raising children. Yes? So thank you, Dave, for commenting, because Dave commented yes. Danielle said we are constantly told that. Rachel said this is what I was taught. Angela says yes, most parents believe that they take action after the child does something wrong instead of proactively planning and being prepared.
So
all right. So we can either come in, oh, child did something wrong. This is going to take everything in you to that battle, that internal battle. Oh, because how do you take a train that's going 110 miles down the track and you come to one of our live Q&A and you stop the insanity instantly? No. If you want to stop the insanity, what we're saying is there's a way. Go from being reactive to proactive. Instead of thinking your child needs some sort of punishment for a life skill they've not been taught yet, let's play detective. Let's follow the universal principles of success. And we're going to play detective and we're going to say, oh, my child did this inappropriate thing, hit his little brother, I don't know, spit at the dining room table. I mean, kids will do anything. The one thing we can guarantee is your kids are going to do something you don't like today. And it's not because they're defiant. It's because they don't have the experience you have. Well, they're not big kids. They're not.
You got to ask this question, Bonnie. How many of us walked, rode a bike, or drove the car first time out the gate? Come on now.
Guys,
it's a learning curve.
Moms. Oh my gosh. Okay, so we can punish them, or we can be a detective and make a proactive plan. We always like to say moving forward from this moment, because I realize I never took the time to actually show you what that behavior would result in your life. And so it's like brings us back to leaving the lawnmower outside in the winter. It's simple, Angela. Put the freaking thing away.
You either don't know how or you don't want to. Gets real simple. You see, what Bonnie just talked about was principle number 5 in the book, which is probably missing, because if you added it, you would go, oh my gosh, wait a minute. Hey, let me get this straight. there's a universal principle that has a root word mean active. And I can either be proactive or reactive. Guiding their behavior is proactive. Like planning when the fire comes, we already know what to do. Why? Because we did it. When the fire comes, I don't know what to do. I was scared. You're in reactive mode. So guiding or punishing is the difference between all of parenting is in punishment mode. And if you've got a bone to pick with me, let's do a Pepsi challenge here. I dare any professional out there to go toe to toe on Zoom. You name the place, I will be there. Hence we. Now, when you know that you could guide or punish, you see there's an ingredient that supersedes oxygen for our body. Most of us can't go without oxygen. I think the world record is like 10, 15 minutes or something. Most of us can't even do a minute.
Right.
But what supersedes that, if we have it, we live. If we don't, we die. This is why we always start off with the blank stance. Some of us have been around like, yeah, I know that's attention. Yes. You see, without attention, we die. There's no exception to this rule. When we have attention, we thrive. So let me ask you this. How many times when the kids are doing good, you're like, just leave them alone. They're doing perfect. Don't say nothing. And they get no positive attention. But the moment they do something that's off the mark, for whatever moral ethics or safety or whatever reason is irrelevant, you engage guns a-blazing and start talking can't, don't, won't. Who has now got attention? Your little genius offspring. So I got to ask you this. Challenge for change. You've been challenged to make change, which means we pull out the LLE. That's in Principle 12 in the book. But when you can actually praise them for what they are doing that prepares them to launch and ignore the rest, well, you just made a game changer. That means now you understand why I could fix any other kid.
Oh my gosh.
And so can you.
Yeah. And so for all the moms out there that are just finding us for the very first time, you're like, ignore the rest. How do I ignore when he's punching me in the face? And then this is when you leave. And I'm gonna encourage you to stay. I'm gonna encourage you to stay with us. Tom helped me take my son, who was 6.5 when I met Tom, who was the worst case of oppositional defiant disorder that the school psychologist had ever seen. So we're not sitting here talking from a textbook. We're not hoping that this works. We didn't take authoritative parenting, regurgitate it, and now presenting it in a new way. We never decided to be parent coaches at all. Like, this is not something we went, let's go be coaches for parents. No, we're here because of the importance of what we're doing here. We're raising the next generation with our batteries in backwards. And I'm talking the whole world. Erica, I'm glad you just found us, guys. You're loving this. Can't wait to learn more. I can't wait for you to learn more too, because here's another life being saved, yours and your child's. Good win, Ross. 76. I struggle with this. So does everybody. So now that you found us, stick with us. Go to Amazon. Yes, I'm plugging my book again because this is going to save your life. I'm morally obligated to sell you this book. And if you've been reading the book and trying to implement, you need help, well, you need to reach out to us. You need some mentorship, and that's okay. We're human beings. We're all learning to do the best we can with what we know.
Now, Bonnie, do you know anybody that can read a book and drive a car?
No, we can't read a book and drive a car. We're talking about reading a book and raising a tiny human being, which is a lot more mechanical than a car, believe it or not.
True.
I have to give Rachel this, Hamilton, before we move on to Danielle. You were talking about Clayton really wants to earn $150. And what came out of my mouth when we were talking about it yesterday, it just came up in conversation yesterday. And I was like, I want $1 million in my bank account tomorrow. It's good to want things. That's called a goal. So when your kid's going, I want to earn $150, it's good to want things. It's called a goal, is a way to validate. Number two, it's like Tom said, you are not responsible to now help your child make $150. You are responsible to show them what they need to do, the real life. How do you make $150? And that's going to be hard work, right? We reap and we sow what we reap. This is the truth. This is how we bring children into their champion selves. Your angry child, your screaming child, your child who's going out of his way to
get attention,
whatever. God,
that's all it is.
You stole my thunder.
Survivor mode. That's all it is.
They're in survival mode looking to get attention.
That's
so
it.
I'm going back to Danielle. Oh, please be here, Danielle. Oh, where's her question? Oh, Danielle, I just had it here and now I'm going to have to come back to it. You said something about, okay, here we go. 44 comments. Let me just go through real quick. So Danielle, you said something about, the comments gone missing. You said something about your kid did something inappropriate at school yesterday. So then you came up with a plan to have him make himself breakfast in the morning so that he wouldn't have time to like relax. So I get that. And I don't know what you would have done before, a timeout, takeaway, yelling or something. But what we're talking about here, your child does something inappropriate at school yesterday. If there is no plan, if this happens at school again, you are making your own breakfast moving forward. That's a proactive plan. You did something at school yesterday, so now you have to make your own breakfast with no proactive plan, no warning, no role play, and no life skills training. Then that's the opposite of creating champions for life. That is following the mindset of they did something wrong, so now we need to do something wrong over here. That's an eye for an eye. We were always taught 2 wrongs don't make a right, except for when it comes to parenting. We're taught to have goals, have a vision board, create a plan to achieve the goal, except when it comes to parenting. Do you see where we're going with this? We know that if we have a party or a wedding or something coming up, we know that's called a goal. We have a timeline. We create a plan. Who's going to be on the guest list? We do this work. We do it in our everyday lives all the time. I want to drive a car. You go to driver's ed. You practice driving the car. You have an instructor who practices with you. Then you go and you complete a test. They give you a license. Now you drive a car. Right? We don't just wake up in the morning and go, I'm going to go drive today and go do a test and run into the curb, right? There's a lot of steps to happen. So when you're looking at your child and you're doing the reframe, I want you, I don't know what you need to do. Do you need to carry around a baby picture of your little beautiful offspring so that you can see their little genius? See, when Harley Faye's here, she's about 18 months now, almost 18 months. But from the minute she's born, every time I look at her like this. I'm going to cry. Every time I look at this little darling, I look at her like this. Now, this is 2 hours after she's born. I am the only one in the whole world that has this picture because she's like literally looking at me and I'm looking at her. What do you see? What energy comes to you from this picture? Is it, I'm going to have her fear me so that she complies? What do you think's going on in this picture? Share with me in the comments. What do you see? Because if we could all look at our children like they're just this beautiful little genius spirit in this world, that we have the ability to be an impact, to be an influence in their lives for a very short period of time. Can you look at your teenager who's going, I want to go to a party. You suck. Can you look at him like I'm looking at this little baby? Because when you can, your whole world will change. When you can see your child for who they really are, for who God made them to be, then everything they do will be magical in your eyes. So Danielle, hopefully that helped. I'm only seeing a few of the comments here. Mackay told his mom this morning he hate her because he wanted to wear pants that was too short, and she said the worst parent ever. He got so upset. Yeah. God, that's.
Or just ask yourself this. congratulations that you engage and validate your kid, because the other parenting program out there is called neglect. But when you actually did choose to engage, what are you thinking? Positive or negative? See something I don't like, or I see a little genius just embracing their own uniqueness. And follow your heart. Are you in preparing mode that, yeah, I don't want them doing X, Y, or Z, but there's no way I can postpone the inevitable? They don't learn it from me, who has their best interest at heart. They're going to learn it from somebody else. It's not a question, are they going to learn it? And so with that being said, is you want to be what we call is a big kid trusted advisor in their movie called life, rather than an extra. And see, what that means is that they can come to you with everything. Well, tell me more about what it is that you're looking to create on your own. You ask lots of questions. Now, I guarantee you that, well, the students that learn this technique are like, oh my gosh, I have like a new kid.
Yes.
And it's as simple as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. You go right through these 12 principles and you ask lots of questions for deeper understanding. Because at the end of the day, it may not be something you learn when you're 3 or 5, but you put it into the chronological order. We call them life skill boxes. You know, that partying thing that we're talking about, where you learn about nighttime guy and morning guy, where one's all spending money, the other one has to pick up the tab, and you know, you have it costs you 3 days of hangover to get back to work. Well, see, we're going to train and get you prepared in the 13 to 17 box. You're only 8 right now. You see, there's a time and a place for when you need to put things into a sequence. And when you got your eye on the big picture, it all comes down to a matter of when and where is the puzzle to solve moving forward. And that is the God honest truth. It is truly this simple.
Simple, not easy. Just because we are already wired with beliefs about what it means to be a parent and about what it means when a child misbehaves or does something inappropriate. So back to Danielle. Angela said, what are some good proactive steps Danielle could have taken to make that moment more guiding rather than after the fact reaction? Right. So when your kids are going to get in trouble at school, again, like the only thing that we can guarantee is your kids are going to do things you don't like. They're going to get in trouble because they're these little beings in a meat suit with no direction. They're like a balloon. When you blow up a balloon and you just let it go, it just kind of flies everywhere. They're going to do something.
That's it.
So now when the child does something, then we go, oh, okay, no problem. My child just did this one thing. What can he do to make it better for next time? So what we're saying here, rather than go immediately to, I got to do something to make him uncomfortable so he learns his lesson at school, it doesn't work because there's no proactive life skills training going on in the moment of what's happening, right? It's just like, well, you did that inappropriate and it's not good to talk to your teacher that way. And now you're going to have to make your own breakfast. It's negative. When we come at it with, okay, cool. Harley wants to climb the stairs now. We don't keep taking her away from the stairs and going, no, 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 because the minute we look away from her, what's she going to do? She's going to go up the stairs untrained and she's going to fall down the stairs. So you take the time to proactively guide and teach. So if this situation's going to happen, let me put that down on paper. I'm playing detective. What life skills does my little Timmy need to be successful at school? And then you say, little Timmy, if we talk to our teacher, you're an a-hole, okay? That's going to reap you this result. If you go to school and you want the attention from the teacher and we raise our right hand. So we volunteer at our church in the children's ministry. And last Sunday, we go into little groups and you have 6 or 7 kids. And last Sunday, I did some proactive, let's play a game of Simon Says to see who actually gets to go first. It was very proactive. How do you get my attention? I taught them to stand at attention stance. It took me 3 minutes. I taught them raise your right hand. Now I'm talking like 8, 9, 10, and 11-year-olds. Raise your right hand. Well, half of them did this.
Your
I'm
other
I'm
right.
like, no, your other right hand. No, your other right hand. Your other right hand. They don't even know right from left.
Ooh, now if we pause right there, instead of saying no, that's wrong, it's the other one. That's punishment. Wow, look at you. You did raise your hand. We're just looking for the other right hand.
Yeah.
You see, because in their mind, right then,
Yeah.
they haven't learned the life skills. They're not like a spider that's been born to know right or left. It's not hardwired. The fact that they raised their hand, did we miss the
Free frame. The
validation?
validation. I'm
Oh, look
reading
at that. You
questions.
raised your hand. That's right. Great. Now, the other right. Bam. There you go. You see, when you can always praise what they did, what we call bringing things back to life, CPR, cardiopulmonary resuscitation, brings back to life. You're bringing life. We look at it as, well, of course, whine, bitch, and complain will always be there. That's called Compton obvious. But did you catch them doing anything correct today? Anything like, oh my gosh, they perfectly put their shoes in the thing right there. Or you caught them doing something right. You see, this attention is a very amazing commodity, and it's actually very free. And so when you can actually give your attention to what you caught them doing CPR, who's bringing somebody back to life, to the brighter side of the equation? And the hint is you as the big kid trusted advisor and you as your little genius offspring who was promised that when they started to do something, somebody would see, oh, did you see how she's doing it? She's now ready to learn proper procedures.
I love that. Show them what to do. We got to stop with this whole idea that they did something negative. I have to do something negative. They do something. You show them what to do. I love that, Tom. So you said catch them doing something right. Now, when Tom first said to me, catch them doing something right and praise them with excitement, I swear to God, I went 3 days and I'm like, I can't catch them doing something right. Like there's just nothing. I can't find anything to praise. Everything's a little chaotic. Well, what I wrote down here was no, that's true. It was broken. It was broken. So what I wrote down here was catch them doing something. So Harley's at her high chair, and I'm always going to use Harley as an example because she's 16 months old and she's always going to do something we don't like. She's just an immature brain. So she's sitting at the table and she throws food off the high chair. Old me, young me would have been like, ooh, we don't throw food. How do I stop my toddler from throwing food? Now we just validate everything. And I don't know if it's because creating champions for life or she's just my little beauty baby granddaughter, my first one, or whatever it is, but something I've learned from Tom. So this is going to be powerful, moms, dads. That's called throw. Look at you, throw. Yay. That's called off. Yay. Look who did that. I did that. It doesn't matter what this little being does. It's constantly in our house. Yay. So when you watch Tom share his little videos of Harley Faith, she at the end, she'll always go, yay, because we're always going, yay. When does that stop? Does it stop when they turn 2? Nope. Does it stop at 5?
Nope.
11, 12? Now we can get pissed off at them all the time? Why don't we keep this loving feeling now and forever? He's my little genius. She's my little genius offspring who needs life skills, trainings, not another timeout. And for the love of God, your child doesn't need to hug you one more time. I mean this with love. Because there's so much crap parenting advice out there on social media. I have to say this. 5 things I say to my kid. I am proud of you. I am here for you. I will always be here for you. If we're talking about our kids in the sense of I, we're off the mark. It's a wolves in sheep's clothing leading you off a cliff. Your kid doesn't need, oh, you're sad because you can't have ice cream before dinner. Come give me a hug. Do you see how off the mark this is? It's like you telling me, Mom, I want a new pair of shoes. And I'm like, no, you just bought a new pair of shoes last week. And you cry. And I go, oh, just come give me a hug. That's not positive parenting. In fact, it's the most deceptive, manipulative, negative parenting that there is. Gentle parenting. And if you want to challenge anything that we're talking about in a nice, calm, kind way, like so we can talk it out and get to the other side, we're just here to teach you how to have joy with your kids and how to raise champions. We're not getting you to get them to comply at the dinner table. They will, because it's a side effect of guiding behavior. But we're here to like be a defibrillator in your life. We're here to bring you the truth. We're here to bring you happiness and joy and to be a family the way God intended it. So go ahead and share your
So let me
story.
ask you a question here. Which one is the happier option here? When they knock things off the table or take things out, or when they actually put things back? And here's a picture. And yes, you guessed it. Those are sandwich bags that she's learning open and close. This is part of the 1-year-old curriculum. When they're open, when they're able to do something, get their hand into something, this is the number one window that's missed globally. I'm ready to learn. And so when she opens up, she got the little sandwich bags that come out, and then she's like, well, this is the coolest thing, because what?
Out.
And I went, out, out, out. I validated all 587,000 sandwich bags in the box. Out, out, out. And then I waited very strategically for a window when she was all out and go, could I play? Could I do in? You got out. Could I do in? And then I would grab one and stick it in, go in. And she'd take it out. Out. I'm in. And we got a chance to play. And if I were to tell you this, that Harley Faith sees things and puts them back, would you be okay with that? She picked up something on the ground and put it in the little garbage can. You see, we yell at them for doing out, but then we don't see it as a gift that if it can go out, she's learning the opposite, which is in. She's saying, show me how this world works, not how you want me to do it. That violates the thumbprint.
Right.
And when that clicks,
oh, this will click for you. Because, see, you're only going to pick up what we shared today or any video. You're only going to grasp the concept through your own eyes, through your own perceptions, through your own truths. So some of the things that we say might go right over your head. Some of the things that we say may not sink in today. We might still be grasping at, okay, yeah, but like, what about this? So, Danielle, thank you so much, Danielle, for commenting and participating with us today. You said something about if I had talked, so it could be effective if we had talked about it firsthand. And so let's take this. We've also been taught to get down on their eye level and have talks with our kids. But I don't know if you've ever seen Charlie Brown. If you haven't, go to YouTube, Google Charlie Brown in the classroom. And you'll have the teacher at the front of the classroom going, womp, 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 womp. And the kids are all like, you're talking, but I don't hear you. The only thing that your kid cares about is what is in it for me. Put that on a cue card.
WIIFM.
What's in it for me? So when we try to talk to them like, oh, that hurts mommy's feelings or whatever. Nah, all they care about is what is in it for me. So rather than talk to our kids thinking that now they know what we're talking about because like they see the world through their eyes and understanding. You see the world through your eyes and understanding. You see what I'm saying? So instead of talking about it, where is do I have a role-playing one? I don't have a role play one. We need to role play. We need to role play life skills. Role play, role play, role play, role play. And that means playtime. That means you get a chair, your kid gets a chair. This is how it looks like to sit in a desk at school. This type of behavior is going to earn you these results. And then you have them acted out. So what does, you're an a-hole. What does that earn you at school? That earns me blank. And if you go, yes, sir, no, sir, I'll get right on it. And then they practice with you. So I'm not here lecturing my kid. I'm doing the actions that I want them to do. I'm role playing it with them. And I'm going to say, how do you get all of your video game time? Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. Get right on it. How do you earn 10 minutes of video game time? What's all you got to do? Call my teacher an a-hole? You got it. High five. Whatever you choose, I love you anyway. This is the power of creating champions for life. And when your child knows, if I act a certain way, I get what I want. If I act a certain way, I don't get what I want. Isn't this how the world works? Isn't this the law of sowing and reaping? So no talking, only showing. Practice, practice, practice. Going to a restaurant, do restaurant practice. And you're right, Angela. If the kid wears a pair of pants that's too short, what you do is you empower your kid by, I love that, high five. And then when they get home, where do the pants go? Do they go back in the drawer or do they go to a Goodwill bag? Right? If it's there for them to choose, are we raising pants? Or are we raising children? So
Just a plus one. There's a sacred game called Monkey See, Monkey Do. And so if you're ever going to talk to your kids, put duct tape on this area and then actually show what it looks like. And test this. How many of us know anybody that was talked into walking on two legs? All the parenting around dictates. And when you can follow that sacred game that every genius knows, it's all hardwired. Monkey see, monkey do. Honey, did you see little Harley Faith's playing monkey see, monkey do? Because she saw somebody open up what? Take something out. That's the magical window.
It's all magic. This is just so great. So we're going to come back to, I praise the good things as often as possible. Let's praise all the things. See, failure means first attempt in learning.
Under real life
That's
experiences.
it. First attempt in learning. So they failed. So they screwed up at school. So they got in trouble over here. So they're going to get in trouble. This is the thing. They're going to get in trouble. What is our role now as parents? Is it to get them to comply in the moment? Is it to redirect their attention, or is it to prepare them for life? So this whole idea of redirecting is from baby and child care. The first book on authoritative parenting, printed in 1946. This is actually a new edition. I don't know how many editions of baby and child care there are, because in the first edition of baby and child care, parents were like, how do I keep my toddler in the crib? And he said, just put a badminton net over the top. Is that your solution? I don't know. It just, if you read the book, you'll be like, why are we parenting this way?
You see, if I was a kid and somebody put that, wrapped it around, I'd be like, oh, you just created another puzzle for me to actually get out of. You're postponing the inevitable. You can't control them.
You can't control them.
You see, my mom, this is when I was probably, mom told me I was somewhere between 2 and 4. And I had a onesie outfit that mama made for me. And it was bright orange. And I could get out of the crib, go to the front door, turn the knob and open it, and leave with my dog Viking. So, being punished, got spanked, put another lock on the door. Well, with Power of Monkey See, they didn't train me how to undo each lock. I just watched and mimicked. And she told me that I could undo every single lock and still go out. And she goes, I think I stopped after 7 locks because people would come by and go, is this a bad neighborhood? Why do you have so many locks? That's to keep Tommy in. So you know what her aha moment was? You can't control this little genius. You put him in something that can be guided. And the first thing she started doing was, well, let's put this kid in swimming lessons. Let's get him to play a sport. Let's get him to do something so that energy could be guided constructively. That's the power that you have, is to guide. Now, you will be the first in your family lineage to make this shift. You'll be breaking the history rules of like the earth is round versus flat. And that the blue marble goes around the sun, not the other way around.
Awesome. Sandra said, how to be consistent with boundaries. Being consistent with boundaries is not creating champions for life. Having integrity in your master plan that you've created for your child is creating champions for life. Being consistent with boundaries and make him cooperate. I have to say,
I can answer this one.
Well, in a second. I want to say, Sandra, I want you to put this sentence on a piece of paper. Write it out. How to be consistent with boundaries and make him cooperate as he gets very loud, banging the doors and screaming. This negatively impacts the neighbors to a point. Now we are going to be evicted due to his meltdowns. I want you to put that on a piece of paper. And then I want you to get a brand new piece of paper. And this is for anybody that is dealing with crap, that is stuck in parenting hell. I want you to take your current situation. Action needed. Oh, man. Hopefully we don't disappear. Are we back on? We might be back on. We might be a little sketchy. Don't go anywhere. Okay, we're restored. I don't know. We froze there for a minute. That's because what I was going to say is very powerful. So hopefully we're back online. There's a little lag here. Okay, internet problems. So what I'm going to say is this.
You're back on.
I might not be back on the live though, but that's okay. What I want to say is this. Write down your current circumstances on a piece of paper. Write down your circumstances that you love to see on another piece of paper. And the first one, we want to find out what to put on that piece of paper. Oh, LOL. 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 The first piece of paper, you're going to share your current mindset. How do I be consistent with boundaries and make him cooperate? Because this whole idea of making your child cooperate is a lie. You can't control your children. Trying to control your child is a complete illusion.
Well, I got to ask you this, because this is where it really is true. Where did you learn that? And I'll guarantee you, you can probably look at your last 3 generations and you'll probably be able to find who you learned it from. But the more important, empowering question is this way of thinking from the last 3 generations, is it serving me now? And this is a simple heads or tails, yes or no. And if the answer is no, step 1 is let that sucker go. Stop doing the insanity. Your hand's open now, so you can go back and pick up the old way, or you pick up the new way. And yes, it is this simple. That's what you got to do. If it's not serving you, let it go.
And write down, my child is a little genius. And embracing his own uniqueness. It is my job and my role to prepare this little genius for the real world, which means I've got to stop correcting behavior in the moment as if they're trying to be defiant and punishing that behavior. And I've got to figure out what life skill is my child currently missing that we can practice and work on moving forward. Do you see the difference? Yes. So in the old one, how do I get my kid to cooperate? You don't. You take that piece of paper and you burn it. It's gone. Get the idea that we need to punish our children. We need to control their behavior. We need to manage them out of your head. It is causing you massive problems with your child. Your child will be 15 one day. And if we don't get this nipped in the bud now, he's just going to be bigger, stronger, and nothing's going to change. He'll have the same skills. He'll still throw. He'll still hit. He'll still scream. He'll just do it in a bigger body, and now it's something that becomes actually dangerous.
I like that question. Erica Ladd, the double D.
Yeah.
Daughter's 15. Can these still be applied? Let me ask it this way. There's a part of you that thinks that, oh, that works good for the little kids, not the older ones or something. What we represent is principle. I want you to associate this with gravity and ask the same question. Does gravity apply or help to my 15-year-old? A 5-year-old? The answer is yes. These principles work for any age. The most important thing is that when people make a decision to actually make authentic, real change, we have what is called a parenting path to paradise color wheel exercise to find out what tools, what principles are missing in your current approach. Kind of like a missing battery in the remote. And when you know which ones they are, you'll know which ones to switch. As Dave asked, I want to find out what's on the other piece of that paper. Well, that's where the principles come into play. So yes, short answer is it has always worked regardless of age. Where did you learn that gravity works for 5-year-olds, but not 15? And the more important is that way of thinking serving you now? If the answer is no, then let it go. You see, somebody either doesn't want you to know this because they're profiting off of your disorder, or you just haven't made a decision yet, but you found it and it's ready to move forward. It works for all ages.
Yeah.
Period.
Absolutely. So I want to finish up with this question, and I'm sorry we didn't get to it earlier. Rachel Kelly, how do I help him at school? The month of October has been the absolute worst. Walking out, skipping class, disrupting the class, not going to class he don't like, arguing with any and all adults, blaming everything on everyone else. He pushes staff back if they're trying to put him in a cool down room, yelling and screaming,
Cool.
We've been through so many counselors and nothing or no one seems to get through to him. I'll show you how to get through to him. Tom will show you how to get through to him. Counseling's not going to work. Therapy is not going to work to get your kid to comply. So let's do this. Let's, God, Rachel, this is big. So again, we want to create a plan of the good, the bad, the ugly. You want to create a master plan that shows him this is what happens when you do this kind of thing at school. Does he have a cell phone? I'd love to ask you so many questions. Does he have a cell phone? Does he have access to the Wi-Fi? Can he sit in your living room and watch movies? Does he have access to all of the treats and the snacks that you bring into the house? Can he have free run of the whole house whenever he wants to? We've created an environment that is way too easy for this child. You see, it's struggle. It's the struggle that allows the butterfly to grow wings that can actually fly. It's the struggle in our children's life that's going to allow them the ability to build characteristics like self-control, self-discipline, responsibility, focus, contentment, confidence, everything that comes from the inside out. So we create a master plan, just like God does. Hey, you want to eat out of garbage cans? All you got to do is not have a job, be addicted to drugs, and live on the streets. And I know not everybody that lives on the streets is addicted to drugs, so don't share my comment. I'm just sharing. If you want to live homeless and eat out of a garbage can, this is all you got to do. If you want to live in a nice house, what do you got to do? You got to go get a job, work the job, get a paycheck, pay your bills. There's 2 ways that we can live.
One of the most amazing things when Bonnie shifted to the other side, she would ask kids this. Maybe she should ask it better. But the way she said it, she would ask the kids, could I ask you questions? Would you like everything that you want given to you with strings attached? Or would you like to be shown how to make anything you want all by yourself and you can have as much as you like and it was your decision? What do you think the kids
That's it.
answered?
That is it.
They go, well, I want to be able to do it all by myself.
Mm-hmm.
And if we can just summarize the whole thing of Q&A into, oh my gosh, did I just hear for the first time? My child, as every expert's telling me, is misbehaving, but they're really just standing up for their rights, going, I want to do it all by myself.
That's it.
You can see, and that was the epiphany that I had in 1994. I couldn't say yes to the kids. You give them an inch, they take a mile. You tell them no, they learn to do it behind your back. But it was that sacred part. Just do the opposite of anything else. Anything else that's opposite of anything wrong or backwards or negative, Thomas. And so when you can hear that voice, and we'll probably wrap up on this.
Yep.
May I be like you through all that punching and hitting? May I be able to do what you do? May I be able to do what you do one day all by myself without you? And when you can hear that special voice, then you lock in that first principle called knowing your roles to prepare, like every animal in the animal kingdom does. You've got all the monkey see, monkey do power, but it comes with a choice. When you make the decision, we have parents now that will never go back.
Yeah. That's right. Never. Because once you see the truth, you can't unsee it. So here's what I want you to do if you're watching this. If you have a question that we didn't get to, or there's a question that pops up, or anything that you want to share, post a comment underneath the video, and we'll be ready for next week. Put on your calendar, Thursday mornings, 8 a.m. Mountain Standard Time. We go live every week for Q&A. And creatingchampionsforlife.com is where you can learn more about us, the services that we offer, find our book. We have a link to purchase the Learn to Speak Kid book and the Raising Healthy, Happy, Cooperative Kids book. Anyway, you got this. If you want change, you got to be willing to change. And if it's really important to you, you got to be willing to put in the time and the work. It's not going to be easy, but it is going to be worth it.
Extremely
After
simple.
all, they are our little geniuses looking to you to show them how the world works. So with all that being said,
So until we meet again,
here's
to our
to our
parenting,
parenting
success.
success.
Cheers. Bye for now.
everybody.